Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Paul Garcia Show, the show where I speak to remarkable people of Central Illinois about their incredible lives, experiences, and insights. The room is filled with champions today, as I'll be speaking with Kenna Skaggs, Garrett Platz, and Derek Dotterer, who are some FFA stars from Prairie Central, each of them with some state and national hardware to their name. So guys, hey, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us, Paul.
Hey, my pleasure. So let me read some quick bios here about you while I put the camera on you and make it a little awkward. But Garrett Platz, you are a senior, the sentinel for the Prairie Central Chapter, and the son of Todd and Dana Platz. You finished 10th in food science nationally and 14th individually, and you're a two-time state meets champion, both in the individual and team competitions. And you also shot trap for a year at Prairie Central. Is that correct?
Yep.
Right on, man. Were you good at shooting trap?
Well, I think I got third place at the state novice competition my freshman year, so that was pretty good.
Look
Best
at
I
you.
shot all year.
Right on. You are a champion on all fronts. And Derek Dotterer, you're a senior and the son of Jason and Lynn Dotterer, and you are the Team Dairy Products National Champion, and you finished 9th in the nation in individual dairy products, and you are the treasurer for the Prairie Central Chapter, and you were also in NHS and also in the school musical. What a well-rounded guy you are. Holy cow. How do you make it work?
Well, it's a little bit of extra effort and a little bit of just, people won't say no to a senior. So
Are you a good singer, do you think?
I don't know. I don't really, I don't like to hear myself sing, but apparently I was good enough to get a part in the musical, so just
Incredible.
depends on who you ask, I guess.
Well, good for you, man. And Kenna Skaggs, you are a senior and the daughter of Jaime and J.D. Skaggs. You're the reporter for the Prairie Central Chapter and an agricultural sales national champ and individual sales national champ. And you are, at the state level, you have earned 2 first-place finishes in ag sales, 4th in vet science, 4th in forestry, and 2nd in job interviews and creed speaking and horse judging. Holy smokes, man. What tip can you give me for selling ad spots to businesses for this show? Because it's apparent that you know your sales strategies and techniques and tactics.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. You just got to get yourself out there, talk to certain people, find your way, find what fits you, really. But no, it's a lot of fun. I'm super active in a bunch of things and dedicated to a lot of different things. It takes a lot of my time away from, other things like family and, things like that. So I'm super grateful for my parents and my little sister to continuing to support me in those things. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's apparent that you're at least very excellent at speaking, so I'm sure that goes hand in hand with sales. But guys, so I'm a Prairie Central alum. When I look at Prairie Central FFA, it seems like it's a perennial powerhouse, but I'm very biased. You tell me, on the national and state level, is Prairie Central FFA well respected and highly regarded?
Well, I don't. We win a lot of things. It started from basically when PC came together, like from all the different schools around here. We have so many state championships. Like you look in Mr. Miller's room, who's our advisor. He ran out of room to put it on the walls, so there's just stacks in the back. We have like 11 national wins, and we do a lot. There's, I think, 8,000 or so national chapters, and for us to have so much success, it means something. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the chapters don't really we're the one to beat in a lot of competitions. So while they might respect us, it's not. It's like a competitive respect.
Sure.
For sure. I mean, when we go to competitions, so like in certain competitions, we have to wear this, which is our official dress. And some of them we can just, wear jeans and a t-shirt. And the thing to do at Prairie Central is to not wear a Prairie Central FFA shirt. I mean, growing up my freshman year, I was like, oh, like I'm, going to wear a Prairie Central shirt to this competition. And my cousin was like, yeah, don't do that. And I kind of looked at her funny. I was like, why? She's like, because when people see that, they get a little rude, not necessarily rude, but it's just, people know who we are, especially at the national level. At nationals, we walked with our book bags on so nobody would see where we were from. And then when we took it off, our advisor and my aunt who chaperoned us was like, there was kids pointing at you like, oh my gosh, that's Prairie Central, type deal. So it's a big deal, in FFA, and it's a lot of fun for sure.
Wow, that's really cool. So, like, in sports, there's teams that they seem to be state champions every year, and it's really annoying. Like in football, you got these Catholic schools, and everyone's like, oh, I hate those Catholic schools. They win all the time. Is that kind of the vibe you get with Prairie Central at FFA stuff? It's like people, they love to hate you maybe. You have a big target on your back. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, so when we're just, like she said, when we're out and about, like, we make friends with so many people, but I feel like there's also that competitive side. And so they're always going to want to butt heads with you a little bit. But again, FFA is family. So we see people from Pontiac, Lexington, El Paso, every other chapter. And at the end of the day, we're all friends. So having that kind of aspect really adds to what FFA is.
Now, talk about like maybe the local schools, the schools within a 90-mile radius or something, the schools around here. Are there any other, phenomenal FFA teams from here? Or maybe who would be the second best if you're not willing to say anyone's better than Prairie Central? There's Pontiac, EPG, the schools. Any of them compare?
I'll let you take this one, Derek.
Normal's got a good chapter. Especially that science, when Prairie Central's competed, they've been really competitive against each other. Pontiac's there. I mean, I'm not trying to diss anybody,
right?
But you know what I mean?
The numbers would speak for themselves, though, right? The finishes. So
yeah, I mean, it all goes back to our advisors. They put so much time and effort. Which, I mean, I don't know what the other chapters do, but I think they put in a lot more effort than a lot of other chapters do, which is really special to us as students and members.
What would you say? I mean, you kind of already touched on it right there, but what makes Prairie Central so darn good? Because it seems like it's been that way for quite a while. What are we doing different? I shouldn't say we. What are you guys doing different? What's Prairie Central doing differently that's leading to the vast amounts of success?
I think part of it is our advisors have been doing it for a long time. Even like we just got a couple new ag teachers, and they come from backgrounds in FFA. One of them's a past national champion from PC. So the advisors have a lot of experience. They know what they're talking about, and we start practicing like way before everyone else. There's to get to the state competition, you go through like sectional competition. And a lot of schools use that as, like, their start. Like, that's when they start practicing is after that. And PC's like, yeah, we use that to figure out who's on the team. So we've already been practicing for a long time.
Wow. Yeah, got anything to add to that, Kenna?
Yeah, our foundation of FFA was kind of, packed down by Gene Weber and Darren Rapp. Those are two huge people that laid the foundation for us. After they left, we are very grateful to have the advisors that we have now. Without them, we would not be able to do what we do. I said this at our national banquet after we came back from nationals. Our parents see us as members on the team. They see us put in, an hour, 2 hours, almost every day on the competition that we're doing at the national level. But, I mean, you see our advisors working 2 or 3 times that every single day outside of their regular, job hours, 8 to 3, a regular school day, because they're the ones that are getting our practices ready, texting people to come help us and come in. So, like, for ag sales, like, we sell to people, right? So, like, we have a product and then we sell to them. So my advisor, which is Becky Freed, she had to, find people to come in and for us to sell to them. So, I mean, she would get, 3 or 4 people every other night to come in and have us sell to them and get their opinion on it. Like, it's a big thing is where, like, altogether, I've done over 110 sales altogether over the past 2 or 3 years because we had to win state twice because of COVID and obviously nationals. But, I mean, it's just that repetition and practice. And, I mean, our advisors, like, they've allowed us to have a great foundation to start from, and I really just hope it grows from there. Like, without them, we would not be where we're at. The amount of practices that we do, the amount of effort that they put into it is amazing. Like, it's just, they're so dedicated to it. Like, they're dedicated as much as the kids are, which is something that, those advisors, like, they don't come around often. And when they do come, like, you got to snatch them up because they're going to be successful. They're going to give their heart and soul into it every single time.
Well said. It's always touching to see young people be quick to give thanks to some of their best leaders, most influential leaders. I have a few more questions about, the competitions themselves, the format, and everything else like that. But first, we got to give a quick shout out to a local sponsor. That's Dave's Supermarket. You guys know Dave's. They are incredible. And here's a quick word from them. Since 1950, Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury has been wowing customers throughout Central Illinois with their unmatched customer service, delectable deli market, beloved grocery carryout service, and many other fortes, which is why they've earned hundreds of 5-star reviews online. Dave's 3rd Street Deli has plenty of seating and is a destination place to meet your family and friends for good food, fun, and fellowship. Not only is their home-style fried chicken here the best around, but you can also enjoy free coffee and 50-cent ice cream every single day. And be sure to check out their Old World Bakery while you're here, where freshly baked goods are prepared every morning. You'll find hundreds of unique and signature items here at Dave's that you won't find anywhere else, like their famous potato salad, ham loaf, and canned meats, just to name a few. Dave's Supermarket is open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and offers online shopping and curbside services. Come experience this revered location that puts the super in supermarket when you shop at Dave's in Fairbury, Illinois, wowing the customer for over 70 years. All right, that was Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury, Illinois. You guys have probably been to Dave's plenty of times, right?
Oh yeah, just a couple.
Do you work with Dave's by chance? Does Dave's ever come out to like FFA things? Because I mean, they're farm people through and through. They've got to be involved in FFA, right? Maybe not.
Yeah. So like on the meat side, Jerry, who's I don't know what his title is, but I'll call him the head of the meats department. Mm-hmm. We've been in there a few times through the contest learning, so we'll go up there because Dave's receives those wholesale cuts, and then they cut them up, distribute them, and package them and seal them. So Jerry will actually show us, like he'll take a whole loin roast and he'll slice them into chops so we can see where that comes from. So it's more visually accepting, if that's the right word. It's more visually accepting for us to see where it comes from, and we can relate it to what part of the animal.
Mm-hmm. Have there been some like prominent business owners that have came out of FFA and at Prairie Central? I feel like I know some names.
Yeah, one for sure is Louis John Slagle.
Oh yeah, he's been on the show before.
Mr. Miller said, I think it kind of started with his Ag Econ project that he did back in high school, and it kind of went from there, and he took off. And I mean, a lot of it's family related, but you can see just how one individual can, take off like that. And now he sells to people in Chicago. Like, I've been to Chicago twice, or 2 or 3 times, and he sends guys up there every day to restaurants, and it's amazing how they do that.
No, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, he's supplying meats to Michael Jordan Steakhouse and among other 5-star restaurants. Just like the top tier people get meat from Slagle Meats, and this guy comes from Prairie Central FFA. So it's just a testament to the quality of people that this team produces. And now I want to ask, just because I'm really curious about the format of these state and national competitions, because to me, how do you have a competition around sales and selling, especially with high school age kids and everything? So maybe we'll start with you, Jenna. What does this format of these sales competitions look like?
Yeah, so each year we get a new product. And so my sophomore year, we sold, Nationals gave us a product. Excuse me.
You're just getting over it. We had to reschedule this because you had like a cold or something like that.
Yeah, I know. I had a really bad cold, so I'm finally getting over it. But so we our product was herbicide and fungicide program by Bayer. And so we got a huge portfolio or binder full of information as for me as a sophomore. And you learn all that. You learn the ins and outs of it like it's nothing. I mean, you could ask me a question about it. I'm like, all right, here you go. Here's the information about it, And so, because they're putting us into a real situation of selling, like we're going to selling to different people, type deal. So that was my sophomore year. Junior year so we won state that year with that. So that was a really cool experience with my team, and that was in person. And then we were all excited to go to nationals, and all of a sudden they were like, Nationals FFA was like, hey, like we're going to have to cancel Nationals because of COVID. So we were all super bummed. And so then my junior year, it was all online. So we actually sold leaf blowers. So that was actually a challenge because with leaf blowers, like you don't have a whole lot of information, right? So that was definitely a challenge, going from something that has so much information to something that has so little. And then for Nationals this year, we sold dewormer for a company, and they it's by Safeguard. So we had to learn about that. So there's 3 parts to the contest essentially. One is a written test or multiple choice question, where it's just general knowledge about. There's 20 questions about selling in general, like just general knowledge questions. So
not about the product, but about selling in general.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. And then there's 5 questions on that test that are specific to the thing that we're selling that year. So it was about the Safeguard products, and one of the questions was like, how much fenbendazole is in this product, and so you had to answer that. And there's 3 like extended response questions. And then so that's just one part. And the second part for that is a team problem. So a team problem is where like I'm in the room like right now with all 4 of us, with my 3 other teammates, which was Ainsley Cradaville, Evan Slagle, and Patrick McGrail. They're all freshmen in college right now. But we were all in a room together and we got a scenario. And then from there we had to go through the planning process together of like, okay, who's going to ask this question to build rapport? So my question was always, what do you like to do in your free time? Just to be able to like, know that person better and things like that. Then we kind of just went through the sales process with that. And then after that is your individual sale. So it's just one-on-one. And so there was a lot of dedication, and you really have to know your product and the ins and outs of it. But a lot of it's, I don't want to say a lot of it's on the fly, but there's some things like, your customer's going to ask you a question, like you got to be able to come up with a professional answer fast. And you can always say, I don't have that answer right now, but let me figure that out for you and I'll get back to you on that. So
it's really incredible. These competitions are equipping you for the real world more than anything I've ever heard, and it's coming from FFA. I don't know if there's general sales outside of the FFA world, like a sales team at high schools. I've never heard of it, but like they're showing you that it's crucial to know your product inside and out to build rapport. It's like they're pulling all the stops. These are vital aspects to sales in the real world, and the fact that you're learning that in high school blows my mind, and it makes me want to ask, are you planning to go into sales as a profession later on?
I had, so one of actually Derek's teammates, her dad, we went and sold to him on our way to Nationals. And I sold to him and everything. And I had already won Nationals. And he actually came to watch his daughter accept her national title. And he looks at me and goes, I think you're going in the wrong profession. Because I'm actually not going into sales. My plan is to attend Marquette University and go into construction engineering. So I've been told once or twice I'm not going in the right profession. So, that's something I could always fall back on if I wanted to be real honest. But
look, I mean, in business, everyone's got to be a salesperson. You have to convince someone that your stuff doesn't suck and that it's good and that they should care about it. So that's sales. So your strong foundation of sales is going to serve you extremely well in whatever profession you go in. The engineering, I mean, if you're not at all trying to convince people to buy your stuff, I mean, whatever. You still got a sound knowledge base that's going to serve you in some capacity very well, I'm sure. But that's really impressive that you're excelling at the national and state level in sales, but you're not even going into sales. At least that's not the plan right now.
No, not right now. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. So. Okay, and Derek. We'll start with Derek. Sorry, I have you guys sitting in the weirdest order. But Derek, you're the milkman. You're the dairy products national champ, as I've said. And what can you tell me about the dairy industry, at least in Illinois? How's it doing? Why is it important?
It's doing pretty good. The reason it's important is because there's a lot of problems that you can have with dairy. Like, in the competition, we have one of the parts of it is milk quality. So we'll have like 10 different milks, and they'll have a different defect, whether it be like oxidized, garlic, stuff like that. Stuff that'll happen in the real world. Like garlic is if the cow just stumbles across garlic and eats it. Oxidized, like if the milk is left in the sun too long. Different problems like that, and we'll be able to identify it by smell and taste. And so, like, obviously not everyone's going to go and be a milk inspector, but I mean, if you're going into like the supermarket and you get a jug of milk and you take it home and something's not right with it, you should probably be able to know what's wrong. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, okay, so you have to actually taste milk and say what's wrong. So you have to have an advanced palate, right? Your tongue has to be pretty high end.
Yeah, that's why COVID coming through partway through the competition kind of messed with people. But
you guys hear that? What was that?
I don't know.
You know what? No one probably heard it on the other end, but anyway, so one more time. So do you have to have like an advanced tongue to, taste these subtle differences from one milk to another? Because what I'm thinking, you correct me if I'm wrong, you tell me what this format is like in competition. I would picture you have like little shot glasses of milk and you have to taste one, write down some stuff, taste another, write down some stuff, but is that at all accurate?
Yeah, well, they'll have like, it'll be set up like 10 different tables, and then they'll have a jug of milk at each table, and either you pour it or somebody pours it for you. We poured it ourselves before COVID, but once COVID came in, they had somebody there pouring it for us. And then, yeah, you just taste the milk. You don't swallow it or anything. You just taste it and see what happens and spit it back out.
See what happens.
Yeah,
you spit it out? Really?
Yeah, you spit it back in the cup. It's
And
not
pass
really
it to the next guy.
You don't necessarily have to have the most advanced taste, because if something's different, you'll be able to taste it. It's not a very subtle difference until nationals, but at that point you've practiced enough, you can tell them apart.
Interesting. I have a few more interesting questions for you, and I even have a test for you that I think people are going to enjoy. But first, we got to give a quick shout out to another local sponsor. That's Fairbury Furniture in Fairbury, Illinois. They're Central Illinois' premier furniture store, and here's a quick word from them. Fairbury Furniture is Central Illinois' premier furniture store. This family-owned business offers a vast selection of premium furniture items from all of your favorite brands, including Sealy, Best Home Furnishings, Leather Italia, Tempur-Pedic, and Ashley, just to name a few. Also inside Fairbury Furniture is the popular WC Market, a beloved shop that offers an ever-changing selection of unique gifts and fashionable home decor. So make your home interior beautiful, comfortable, stylish, and delightful when you shop at Fairbury's own Fairbury Furniture.
Come on down to Fairbury Furniture, where the furniture rocks.
Oh, you get the headphones now?
Well, then my extensive response will be better.
And that was Fairbury Furniture in Fairbury, Illinois, Central Illinois' premier furniture store. But Derek, I want to ask you a few more questions here about milk judging dairy products. So first of all, what's your best competition, I guess? Which category are you most knowledgeable in, would you say? Because I know there's a bunch of different ones in FFA. There's a long list of things you can compete in. So what's your best thing?
Well, the one I did best in was dairy products, obviously, going to nationals. But I would say personally I was better at poultry. Poultry judging.
Got it. Well, okay, so what do those competitions look like? Dairy products, that's very general. That encompasses a lot of different products. And poultry, what are you judging there?
So just briefly, poultry is every competition is set up similarly. There's a written test for each one. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but no matter which competition you do, there's a written test.
Not at the state level for meats. It's strictly judging.
Okay. Meats. But for poultry, you have part ID, so they'll have just any part of the bird. It could be like a leg, a wing. Those are obviously the easy ones. But then you get into like boneless, skinless, and basically, you ever seen a chef just like completely deconstruct a chicken?
Yeah.
It's just like each one of those parts has a specific name, and you'll have to identify which one's which.
They'll lay them out on a table and say, "What is this?" And
but they won't have all of them. So there's a couple of pieces that are really similar, like breast, quarter, and then just normal breast. The only difference is one has a spine on it. Mm-hmm. So depending on how it's laying, it can be kind of hard. But then also with poultry, there's egg judging, which you'll just have a tray of eggs and a light that's really powerful. And you hold the egg up to the light, and there's a little air bubble in the top of the egg. And depending on the size, you grade it A, B, or C. or whatever.
Is that what determines the grade of an egg? Is the size of the air bubble at the top?
Yeah. And
The more you know.
That is the hardest part for me, because you have to just judge it by sight. You don't get anything else.
You can't measure it or anything like that?
No, you just hold it up to the light and you look at the bubble, and if it's the right size, then it's an A. I think there's double A too, technically.
And does that determine the quality of the egg? Its grade? What's it mean if the bubble's bigger, it's like, ooh, that's
worse.
an A. Oh, it's worse.
Yeah, the smaller bubble, the better.
Okay. Why?
I'm not too sure.
Hold up. What? You said poultry's your best thing. That's like...
Yeah, I mean, it's the best thing I do, like, judging-wise, but...
I'm just kidding. I had no idea about the bubble. That was even there, so who am I to judge?
Yeah, it's a good question. You should ask Garrett or something.
Right.
But, yeah, so there's egg judging, there's live chicken judging, which that part's really easy. You'll just have, like, 4 birds, and you just, like, judged on the legs and the beak color and that. You place them 1 to 4, so the lighter the better, because hypothetically they laid more eggs because it took more nutrients from their body. And then there's the tests. Oh, and then there's like product. So like a chicken nugget can have a whole range of different defects, and it'll be like, oh, those 2 nuggets are merged together. That's a problem. That one has like a foreign object in it, like a feather or something. So there's a whole thing with that. And then I think the last thing for poultry is carcass judging. So just a whole bird will be hanging there. And like if it's missing a wingtip, it's fine. But if it's missing any meat whatsoever, it's a no grade. It's just, you got to know what to look for.
Interesting. Do you eat chicken nuggets still?
Yeah.
I feel like you could almost never look at them the same, or you'd be judging them and you'd be like, oh, this is a nasty chicken nugget.
Well, I mean, this way I know what to look for, right? So if it's a problem, I don't eat it.
There we go. Hey, tell me about the dairy products, the general dairy products, not just milk, but are you grading cheeses? What are you doing?
So again, there's multiple sections. There's a test, which is just general knowledge questions, like how much bacteria can be in milk. There's a lot of weird information that you get into that might make you question your milk, but it's all safe by law.
What are some things that like might make people say, what? What's that?
Well, we go like there's certain allowed ranges of bacteria and stuff in milk, and it's higher in the US than in like say the European Union. I think it's like 725,000. I don't know what the exact standard is, but it's like parts per million or something strange. I believe it or not have forgotten a lot since nationals.
I know, it's a big deal, man.
And then it's just things like that. There can be like certain amounts of like for milk grading, say, with all the different defects, if the worse the defect is, the worse grade it gets, obviously, but there's still some like ranges where there could be something wrong, but it's not like illegal per se. I don't know. It's hard to come up with something off the top of my head, but
What's your favorite kind of cheese?
Gouda.
Gouda
Cheese.
Interesting. Explain Gouda. Use cheese terms. Why is Gouda good?
Well,
Let's hear this. I'm sorry. I'm too funny.
Excuse me. I don't know. The way you would talk about it, like in dairy products, not necessarily like, it's not really cheese terms. It's just like it's an off-white cheese, so that's your first like identifying characteristic. Because first thing we look for is color. If you break it, it doesn't string. That's it's a good sign. And then it's just like a smooth, creamy taste. I don't know. It's the best way I could describe it. That's how I idea it.
Right on. Hey, I've got one test for you. I told the people I'd test you here. First of all, do you have any allergies or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Dude, I think that cough might be going around here. But hey, I have a glass of delicious milk here for you. Now, I want you to take a sip of it just like you would in competition. That's an Emancipation Brewing Company glass right there. Show that to the camera real quick. These guys are great, but that's not beer in there. Yeah, take a sip of that and tell me just tell me a few things about the milk. I want to see what your palate's like.
Oh boy. It's been a while.
If you tell me some correct things about this, I'll be blown away. I'll know you're the real deal.
See, if I tasted that in the competition, I'd probably call that malty milk.
Malty.
Yeah, because it tastes like it has a little bit of malt. But I don't know. I don't think it's skim. I think it's probably 1 or 2%.
Keep going.
You lost me with this one.
Hey, go one more sip. Tell me one more thing about it, and I'll tell you what it is.
Or you know what? I bet that's not even real milk. I bet that's oat milk. No, almond milk.
Oh my gosh, it is almond milk. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
see?
awesome. Look at you. Oh,
Yeah.
that was cool. Dang, man. Good for you. You are the real deal.
I had to think about that one for a bit.
Oh, I thought I was going to get you. I was like, this guy's going to say it's like 1% Prairie Farms. I'm like, oh, that's great value. Almond milk, right?
See, bringing it back to what we do in the competition, that's another part of it, real versus artificial.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, so like they'll have butter and margarine. They'll have all sorts of not actual milk. And then like 1%, 2% whole milk, all that. And you have to do exactly what we did there, except hopefully I'd get it faster at nationals.
Do they time you? Is the timing a part of the score?
It's not part of the score. You just have a certain amount of time to do each section. I think it was like 20 minutes or so to do. Probably less than that. I don't know.
I see. Interesting. Well, Garrett, we're going to finish off with you in just 1 second, but first I got to give a shout out to another local sponsor, the final one. That's Ultra Physical Therapy in Lexington, Illinois. If you got to get ready for a surgery, if you're getting over a surgery, whatever, if you're a young person, old person, you just want to feel a little better, check out Ultra Physical Therapy in downtown Lexington, Illinois. Here's a quick word from them.
Newsflash, no one likes being injured or being in pain. And if you're suffering from joint or muscle pain or recovering from a sports injury or a recent surgery, Ultra Physical Therapy in downtown Lexington, Illinois is here to help. They are a locally owned physical therapy company that can treat everyone from the star cheerleader to the farmer getting ready for harvest to the professional office worker to the grandmother who wants to be able to play with her grandchildren. The therapists at Ultra Physical Therapy have a combined 25 years of experience and are trained in cutting-edge interventions, including dry needling, blood flow restriction training, cupping, and the use of massage and joint manipulation. They are also skilled in developing exercise and rehabilitation programs to get you back to doing all the things that you love to do. So free yourself from those aches and pains that are slowing you down and give them a call at 309-365-2500 to schedule an appointment or just to ask questions.
Come to Ultra Physical Therapy in Lexington, and we'll keep you moving.
All right, that's Ultra Physical Therapy in Lexington, Illinois. Great place, great people. They really know what they're doing. I want to finish up with you, Garrett Platz, Chef Garrett Platz, the meat master. Why are you interested in that field, meats?
Well, I guess you really don't get interested in the things. So when I started meats, it was actually back my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. To me, it was just another contest, something new to get into. The new feel of learning new things and broadening your horizons. But we got in my sophomore year, and actually we had won meets like every state year before that. And we went up to the state contest and got second by 4 or 5 points.
Who
It
beat
was
you?
hard.
Just curious.
We got beat by Iroquois West.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, so we came back, and that's when we started the food science run, because Mr. Miller actually, he's like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do this thing. It's kind of like meats. Not at all. And then we entered in the food science contest. Our chapter has never done that before. Well, one time, and I don't think they went to state for it or did very well at state. And so we may have won the section contest. I'm not 100% sure. That was a couple of years ago. And then we actually got to compete in the section 10 contest. We're section 9. So it was kind of they invited us, and we got second. So we're like, oh, there's no way we're going to go win a state competition. So we actually went to state and lost by 2 points. But I looked back at the contest and noticed there was something wrong with it. So we appealed the contest, a question, And then they decided both questions are correct. And from losing by 2 points, we went to go on winning by 16.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
What was the reaction from you guys? They had to be so proud of you. Your team
Well,
did.
Yeah.
You want to stay humble, I can tell. But hey, man,
Well, we came in, so the contest was probably on a Saturday. We came back Monday, and I'm like, there's got to be something wrong. So I looked back at a question, and I couldn't tell you. It was question about injecting hams or something. And I'm like, there's no way you can inject a ham and something be less than what it is, because it adds to it, right? So we appealed it, and then I think it might have been a week or two. That's how long it took for the appealing process. And then they finally came back and changed the contest.
Man, that's a cool story right there.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Intense week or two.
Mm-hmm. Well, so why are you interested in meats, though?
Well, like I said, it's just broadening your horizons, and then
That's right.
Once
You already answered this question. Yeah.
But then when you get into it, it's a lot of fun. You get to learn. So you go to a store, you see, oh, that's a big, bright red ribeye.
Mm-hmm.
What color is the meat? It's solid red. That's bad steak. You want marbling in there. You know what I mean? Because that prime solid red steak is going to be if it's got no white on the inside, it's going to be select. And if it's absolutely terrible, it can even be commercial, which is like dog food. Mm-hmm. And then, so you want to look for that marbling. That's what makes it prime and stuff.
What is the marbling? Tell me what to look for when I go to the grocery store.
Yeah. So marbling it's little white streaks in the meat, but it can't be like super like half-inch thick streaks, because that's just fat. Marbling is your little streaks of white in your meat. So if you looked at a select steak versus a prime steak, you'll definitely see a texture and difference. So it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's more like the fat of the animal renders through the steak a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that from a lot of your grass-fed animals. So like your dairy cattle are mostly grass-fed, because doesn't that help with dairy production? So you're not going to get that nice marbling feel. But a lot of your grain-fed you will, but you can't put too much grain, because then they'll get overfed and they'll yield grade higher actually.
Interesting. Man, I'm learning a lot here. So tell me about the tiers of steaks, just because I'm curious. Does it go commercial, a select, prime, or what's the best of the best? What's Louis John Slagle making?
Well, I've been in there, and actually at our section contest, one of his steers in there actually graded prime high, which is the best you can ever get. So there's actually a utility grade, which that and commercial is pretty much the same. You'll go utility, commercial, select, and then choice. Choice is your average steak, one that you'll go get at Texas Roadhouse, although I have seen choice advertises steaks that are actually select. Not to diss Texas Roadhouse, because they're still amazing. But there's that, and then there's prime. Your prime, when you're judging like carcasses or short loins, which is a section of meat, you actually can look at marbling, and if you got a prime, it's almost automatically goes to the top, because it's just so much higher. Consumer appeal is one, and the product value.
Mm-hmm. No, you might have just said it and I missed it. Like I said, I'm new to this stuff, so I'm really absorbing a lot here. What determines something's position on this hierarchy, the steak's position? Is it the marbling specifically?
It's the marbling, and there's also cartilage buttons. So if you look along, I don't know if it's the chine bone. I'm not 100% sure, but I could tell you exactly where to look on a steer. But you'll look and you'll actually see like a button. It's kind of like a triangle. And if they're bright white, that's an A maturity carcass. But if they blend into the bone, that's like they're oxidized.
Oh.
And that's like, you can tell it's an older carcass. So it'll grade more B, C maturity, and that'll also bring your level down. So you could have a super nice high prime, just the ribeye, and then your cartilage button could be oxidized, and it automatically pretty much drop it to probably a commercial high instantly.
Wow.
Just because it's so old.
Now, what made this steer you said at Louis John Slagle's place a high prime or prime high?
So,
which is the best, right? That's like
yes,
as
prime
good as
high.
it can get.
Yeah. So they actually do what's called dry aging, which is you basically leave the carcass hanging in their cooler for, I might get this wrong. He probably said it on your podcast with him, but I think it might be 40 days maybe. It's one of
I
the
remember being surprised with the length of time. I was like,
the carcass just hangs, and that's it. And then when they get it done, I guess the animal kind of settles down maybe. That might be wrong, and then it leaves it more juicier, tender, overall better carcass.
Okay, so the higher up on the scale that the meat goes, is it fair to say that the tastier it is usually?
Yeah. So, yeah, that goes again because with your, because when you have your more marbling in your steak, if you do season it, your seasoning's gonna soak into that fat, that marbling, because marbling is fat, but it's a good fat.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll do that, and then when you dry age it, it enhances it too. But I don't think you can't dry age it forever though, because then it'll break it down, I think.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that after 40 days, it doesn't break it down. I don't know the science of it. That's your guys' field. I know absolutely nothing about it. But tell me one more thing before we move on. What's something about meats or just food in general, food science, that you think might be an interesting thing that people don't know? People not in the FFA world.
I guess I could touch on food science because I haven't really touched on that. Should I talk a little bit about the contest then? Maybe that'll give some insight. Or
Oh, sure. Whatever you want to say, man.
All
We
right.
got all the time in the world.
All right. So I'll just describe the contest and then I can go into one part. So
betcha.
what we do is a aroma test. So we'll get a little cup of a cotton ball that's been soaked with an oil. And the oil will smell like anything from lime, licorice / anise, basil, garlic, ginger, onion. I can tell you garlic does not smell good. You think it does, but it doesn't. And you smell that and you got to identify it. So it was really hard going in there, especially when you're at the state contest. We were stuck in a little room, probably 3 times the size of this room right here. And you walk in and it's automatic headache. And then they expect you to go and smell it. I think I actually did pretty good on it somehow.
So you're smelling things in hopes of identifying them with like this super precision in the midst of being in a room filled with a wide assortment of smells.
Yes.
Dang, that sounds difficult.
They all kind of mix together, and you got to get really close to really smell it. And it was hard at state, but I think I got 4 out of the 6 maybe.
Does it smell good in there?
No.
I
I think I had a headache because the contest was at JJC in Joliet. I think I had a headache all the way home. It was that bad.
Dang.
Yeah. And then a couple other things they do is a triangle test. So we'll get 3 products. Let's say your Cheetos. You get 3 Cheetos, but one of them might be the Chester's or whatever, the off-brand Cheetos.
Yeah.
We got to identify that from them. And we could do that for a range of things like juices and stuff. That's one part. And then we also have a big test that we have to do. And mathematical things, which is how we won the contest because there was an error on one of those questions. And then we also have our team problem, which is the big part. So
What might the team problem be?
So we're given a scenario, like a target market that we have to provide for, and we're giving a range of products that we'll basically combine into one. And then we'll package it. I was basically the product labeler, so I would make the product for it, or the label for the packaging, and then box it all up and present it to our panel of judges, describe everything, like explain our target market, why we made it this way, why we chose the colors we did, why we chose the flavors we did, and that all comes back into our product.
Wow, man, it's amazing to me that this is how you guys are spending your time. This is how you compete. You know, when I look back at my athletic career, all I was doing was run around the track and wrestle on a mat. You guys are utilizing your brain, you're learning, you're sharpening your skills that are going to be extremely applicable later on in life once you leave high school. And it's just so cool hearing this. This is really a world I did not know much about. And I apologize, did I cut you off? You were talking about food science.
Yeah, that was the food science side. Then the meat side is a little separate.
Sure. Did you want to say anything? Did I cut you off?
No, you didn't.
Okay. All right. But I'm curious. You said you tasted generic Cheetos and Cheetos. So you're saying there is a difference. It's not just the same. My mom said there was no difference growing up. But
There's a difference.
What are the differences?
Well, I guess some of the generic, it could taste a little staler at times, depending.
I knew it.
Yep. And then there's the cheese that they put on it's different. They might have a different crunch, a different taste, a different, well, I don't think they'll smell different, but we kind of look at that. I think at state we did that, barbecue chips, apple juice, maybe. I know at nationals I think we did raisins. I'm not really sure what the other ones were.
What is one food item or drink item that you do not want to get generic on? Like, trust me, name brand's way better. I could give you some opinions, honestly. I will say that Cheetos are one thing I did not. You don't want to mess with the generic version.
I don't know. I guess I really don't buy the generic. We don't get the generic stuff that often. So.
But you've tasted it.
Not okay. I guess I could say Cheez-Its. There's some off-brand Cheez-Its. I'm not a big fan of those.
That are just way different than the original.
Like we did a bunch of practices where, especially with cereals and stuff, you'd go in, you get that really nice sugary cereal, like your Honey Nut Cheerios with the nice coat on them, and then you get your Circle-Eos or whatever they call them, and it'd be like, what is this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like a name they call them.
Yeah, oh, for sure. There's much worse than Circle-Eos, honestly. But interesting. That's so cool that's a field, and that's one that you know so much about. And, guys, we're getting towards the end of this whole darn thing. You're all seniors. Are you going to miss your time at Prairie Central with the FFA team?
Definitely. It's been – I mean, we put a lot of time into the competitions, obviously, but there's also a lot of – it's kind of like a second family. You spend a lot of time together. You do a lot of charity work. We one of the things we do, we package food boxes at school for the kids who might not be able to afford that much. We do different things like that. We just spend time together at like cookouts and stuff. It's just a lot of fun having a group of people like this that are all similarly minded, I guess.
That's awesome. Awesome. What about you guys? Anything to say to that? Are you going to miss PC and the FFA team?
Yeah. And I mean, we got 5 weeks of school? Yeah, we got 5 weeks or so of school left, and every day it just keeps ticking, and it's like, I don't want to leave now. I mean, coming in as a freshman, I never wanted to get involved, and eventually, because my mom was in FFA, everything's family. Most people's parents were in FFA when they were younger if they had the opportunity. So me going in, I had to get involved. And me getting involved was the best decision I ever made in high school because it was either that or football. And not dissing athletics, but FFA will take you more places in life than sports. And that's not for everybody. For me personally, though, and maybe Derek and Kenna can agree for their part. I mean, even though Kenna does play softball,
right?
And that's also a huge family for her, but FFA is just so large, and there's so many people, not just in our town of Fairbury and Prairie Central. It goes all the way out to Washington. I think at nationals, you'll see people from Puerto Rico, Guatemala, because they're territories of the U.S. It's all under one roof. And then I don't know how many members, 735,000 across the whole nation. There's
like 8,000 chapters.
8,000 chapters. And just in Illinois alone, there's probably 18,000 members and 350 chapters. And it just keeps on going from there.
That's incredible, man. Wow. That's a whole other world, it seems like, man. The family aspect of it as a parent, if you're in the FFA, you're part of the giant FFA family. It's cool, man. I really like it. And Kenna, you got to have something to say about this. You going to miss your time at PC?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've kind of gotten to the point now where I'm just like, do I really want to leave? Like, I don't know about you boys, but like high school I don't want to say it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but like I feel like sometimes for girls it can get a little rough, just kind of drama and stuff like that, but that's just life, but my freshman and sophomore and part of even my junior year, I went up to my mom and even to him and, a couple of my friends, and I was like, I'm just ready to get out of here. Like, come last year, like, I told him and I told my parents, I was like, I'm going to graduate early. Like, whether they like it or not, I'm graduating early. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow. Like, so my sister's a freshman this year, and I was like, there's no way that I can give that senior season up with my sister playing softball. Like, this is the only year that me and her will ever be on the same competitive team. Like, I have to do this, And what a blessing it's been to be able to have that experience with her. Very first day of school. Obviously, we don't know what lunch we have until that day. And so I was walking down the hall. I took the long way to go talk to a teacher real quick. And I was walking towards the lunchroom, and she goes, Kenna. I'm like, hi, Kaylee. She's like, can I please sit with you? Like, I don't know who to sit by. I'm like, absolutely. So it's just been the biggest blessing of my life to create those memories with her. And I'm definitely going to miss the FFA family. Like, I've had so many relationships that I've been able to build with a bunch of different people. Like, we're all, I think, a little, I don't want to say dreading, but the FFA banquet is going to be a little hard for us. Because our advisor, Mrs. Freed, does a video for us every year, a senior video. And so we have to send in baby pictures and, all that stuff. So we were going through those, and it's going to be, there's I don't think there's going to be a dry eye in the place when that happens.
Yeah, man.
But I'm sad to see it go. But I'm also super excited to see where the younger kids take it. We just actually... what do you call it? Elected our new officers for next year that'll come, and so we're super excited for them to come in and see where they take it. And I hope that they're just, they continue to be successful and continue to find that drive. Because, and like these two boys said, I mean, the experiences that you have with FFA, you don't get anywhere else. I mean, sports can teach you certain things, but just the life skills in general that I have learned from ag sales and all the other competitions I've done, I mean, I will take that and forever be grateful, and I will take that going into college, and, I'll learn some things there, but I'll take it to college and I'll use it, and I'll be able to be, I don't want to say one step ahead, but I'll be able to already have that mindset and, learn how to say a simple sentence to, somebody that I'm interviewing for. Like, I know how to do a job interview now. Like, some kids at my age, they don't know how to do that.
Right. The vast majority of them don't know how to do that.
Right. So that's one thing that National FFA organization does extremely well, is they take real life situations, and I don't want to necessarily say dumb it down, but they take it to a standpoint to where high schoolers can understand it if they work at it, and they can blow it up and make it an experience for kids that, not everyone is able to get. So I'm super grateful for our chapter and, just how successful we've been. And I believe we're the only chapter in the organization in the country to bring home 2 national titles to the same chapter in the same year. And we've done that twice now. We did that last year with me and Derek. And then in 2014, we did it with mechanics and dairy products, I believe. And so, that's just really cool. Like, and some kids at our school and some teachers, they don't realize like how big we are. Like, we're in the same building, and they don't realize, how big of a thing this is. I mean, like, these boys beat out hundreds of kids to be, to compete at the national level, and then to be 14th and 10th at the national level. Like, we work so hard at it, and it's something that, like, I believe it's a whole other sport. I mean, I practice more at this than sometimes I do that on sport, every once in a while. But it really helps with time management too. So I'm really going to miss it for sure.
The respect I've gained for FFA in general just today talking to you guys is really incredible. And I mean, you look at you guys, you're sharp, you're smart, you're respectful, you're really doing so many things right. You're seniors, and doggone it, I can't wait to see where you wind up in the future, because it's going to be somewhere great. And thank you so much for enlightening me and all the listeners on what FFA is all about, what you guys do in your fields within FFA. And I guess before we wind things down, is there anything else you'd like to say before we do so?
I'd just like to thank you for giving us the chance to come out here and share a little bit about what we do. I mean, it matters a lot to us, and like you said, a lot of people don't know what goes on, so it's good to be able to share a bit more.
I appreciate it. The pleasure is absolutely all mine. And everyone who is watching and listening, thank you for watching and listening to the Paul Garcia Show. If you like this episode, subscribe to my YouTube, like my page on Facebook, and maybe even follow me on Instagram. But most importantly, share this episode on Facebook with your friends and family. And if you'd like to support the show financially, consider making a one-time donation on Venmo to the username The Paul Garcia Show. And you can even support the show on patreon.com/Paul Garcia. But until next time, I'm your host, Paul Garcia. God bless and have a great week. And thank you guys so much again for coming on. That was really, really incredible and pretty inspiring. Gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Thanks, Paul. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Boom, that's a wrap.